Hi there. Today I am doing a flip through of my ladies journal, Victorian Ladies Journal. This was a class I took through Nik the Booksmith. She did both the Victorian Ladies Journal and the Scholar's Ledger. This is actually a book that I have made just for myself. I kind of went all out. It's pretty overstuffed. This is kind of where I ended. I just needed to stop at some point. I wanted to save some room because I want to practice my collaging, and so I've saved some pages for collaging, but I have really stuffed this book full. I started out with just this gorgeous fabric. It's completely covered in this fabric. It is a faux suede. It's not real and embossed. So the back is plain. And then on the front, I have, this is some Tim Holtz cardstock. Then I added, this is a layer of seam binding. So there's a layer of seam binding here, a layer of lace here, a layer of coffee dyed lace here. This is a Tim Holtz pin, and then a key, and I actually don't remember what company makes those. I have a whole bunch of them. Then up here I took some, I'm not exactly sure what kind of fabric this is, but it was a textile. And then I put, this is again a Tim Holtz book plate. This is actually a cutout of flowers from Nik the Booksmith's. She did a journal with me, or a craft with me kind of thing, where she did Victorian calling cards. So this is actually part of a Victorian calling card. And then I backed the entire back of it with cheesecloth. Then over here on the spine, I actually made a tie. So I tied this through the spine. I don't know if you can see that, but I tied it right through the spine. It's two pieces. This is seam binding, and this is actually a cotton ribbon that I then also tied some lace in. And then I made this beaded dangle. A lot of this, the black pieces are actually from an old necklace I had. These are white beads that I have, and this is again from that necklace. I combined them all together, and then this is a Tim Holtz story clip. This is the whole outside, and as you can see, it's stuffed pretty full. I actually can't really get it to shut anymore. I put lots of tabs. I had never done sewing before. This is my first time sewing, so I have a ton of sewing here. So there is string hanging everywhere, which absolutely drives my husband and my middle son crazy. They want to come through and clip them all off. But I love them, so I'm leaving them. So let's get to the inside of this book. In the front cover, I found, again, you'll notice most of this is either Tim Holtz or it is Nik the Booksmith printables. And so in this front cover, I did a piece of cardstock, and then this is tracing paper with two of those Victorian calling cards from that same class. That one's blank, and this one says Lily Bollinger. And those just tuck right in here. I also have a Tim Holtz just card tucked in here. Every signature has this kind of paper on it. I printed these out. These are from Nik the Booksmith's printable that is called Milady's Desk. So every single signature has one of these. And again, like I said, I've done a ton of sewing. There's lace here. There's a pocket here. These are just two cards that I made from some Tim Holtz cardstock. Ledger paper. This is also from Milady's Desk. It is an envelope that I just clipped to it. Inside it, it has a little piece of paper that says gratitude on it, and that is just pinned to here, to this page. There are tabs. There's a lace tab up there. This is actually a real genuine antique piece of paper from Monahan's Paper. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for all of the papers that I got from you. I had to include several of them in here because this is a vintage ladies journal. Another tuck spot with a card from Milady's Desk. That's the ephemera part of it. Seam binding that I sewed on. wait, there's 2 pages stuck together. There's the ledger paper again. This is this really pretty velvet ribbon, which you'll see again here in a moment. This is the back of the first signature, and now we're into the second signature with more of that beautiful velvet ribbon. An actual blank page, what do you know, but it does have a tab at the top. This is the contents page, and you can see there's actually handwriting in pencil from a 1930s secretary's book, so it's more than a dictionary. It had all this other stuff in there about capitalization and punctuation. This is again Tim Holtz. This is his collage paper that I've dirtied up. Everything in here, the pages that are like this are coffee dyed. I am a coffee person, not a tea person. This is a glassine bag that I decorated. That is again from Nik the Booksmith, and that is a Tim Holtz piece. More of that Tim Holtz stuff in the other part of that page from that book. This is grosgrain ribbon and a little tag that I made. This is another piece. This is a little tuck spot that I made. This is again from Nik the Booksmith, and this again is another wonderful piece of vintage paper from Stephanie at Monahan's Papers. And that's the end of the second signature. The third signature is again some of the same with your coffee dyed papers. This is coffee dyed lace. This is vintage music, again from Monahan's. More tabs. This is really cool. I found this cookbook from the turn of the, going into the 19th century for this type of stove. So I took 2 pages out of there, and then I used washi tape to really reinforce those pages. This is the center. I made a tuck spot there and included again, this is a printable from Nik the Booksmith. If I can get that open, there we go. And then this just has paper in it. And I did this on a manila envelope. It also has a little pocket in the front with 2 report cards in it. So I thought that was really cute, and just put that in the center of this signature. This is another page from that recipe book. I'm very excited to have that. Lace again. This is the more music paper that I made into a tuck spot. And again, this came from Stephanie. This was included in my order. More of that ribbon. And that is the end of that signature. And I believe, is this the last signature? No, we have 2 more. So this is the 4th signature. These are really beautiful. They're actually made to be printed out bigger, but because these journals are more narrow, I had to make them smaller, so I adjusted their size. This is really cool. This is coffee dyed polka dot paper that I made using a grill pan. It has little holes all over it for your grill, and when I put the coffee dyed paper on it, it made polka dots. So I made this into a tuck spot again. This is more ephemera from a lady's desk. That just tucks right up in there. Another tag on the seam binding that I sewed in there. And this is a vellum that is done by Tim Holtz, a doily. I thought this was way cool. This was some coffee dyed paper that I did. It's really dark because I baked it. It was on the bottom of the pile, and so it got really, really good and dark. So a doily in vellum, and then you have the velvet ribbon again. This is Nik the Booksmith again, and this is another Victorian calling card, To Thine Own Self Be True. And this one's from John, I want to say Buck, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's Bach. And then another piece of ephemera from, or actually a journal card, I guess, from Nik the Booksmith is tucked in there. More tags. And then now we're on to the 5th and last signature in here. Some more of that beautiful black grosgrain ribbon that I have. This is, I love the sound of that. This is tissue paper, coffee dyed tissue paper. That's a Tim Holtz stamp, so I stamped that. Another tag, another piece of that antique paper from Stephanie Monahan. I took some of the vellum and glued it to here and then sewed all the way around this pocket. So this is again another piece from Nik the Booksmith. These were some cute things that I made. They're kind of a Franken tag, if you will. So that's a whole set of those in there. Back to that antique paper, coffee dyed paper. I left this one blank, but of course it has a tag on the top. Then some more of this is the ephemera, and this is the yearly egg count. This is a journaling card again. And then in the very back, I made a very tall coin envelope using Nik the Booksmith's template. And this has a ton of ephemera in it for me to use later. So that is my goal, is that I will finish filling this up at a later time. And if you want to follow me on Instagram at Chic Crown Crafts, you'll be able to see some of the things that I do there. And you also want to subscribe so you can see all the different cool journals that I'm making as well. I hope you enjoyed my Victorian Ladies Journal.